Studies show that 2 or more hours of screen time in the evening can seriously disrupt the melatonin surge needed to fall asleep. These can actually make sleep deprivation worse by making it harder to fall asleep at night. According to the Mayo Clinic, up to 400 milligrams of caffeine a day appears to be safe for most healthy adults. That's roughly the amount of 4 cups of brewed coffee, 10 cans of cola, or 2 energy shot drinks. Of all the bad habits we've talked about, which one is the most problematic? So respondents said not saving enough money is the most problematic bad habit out of all the ones on here. Procrastination is the act of unnecessarily and voluntarily delaying or postponing something despite knowing that there will be negative consequences for doing so.
You know, in the last episode we did together, you know, the biggest land animals in North America? Yeah, I didn't fuck it up that bad. I'll tell you that.
Are you fucking serious? Go back and listen, sir.
But we can all make up a reasonable amount of excuses for any of our bad habits when we go looking hard enough.
Do you mind if I get that quote as a tattoo?
Only if you put it on your right ass cheek.
Like a Bad Habit, Tennis Podcast is back and ready to weigh you down. Welcome to episode number 262. I want to give a special shout out to our Tennis Pod Plus members who are listening to me right now early and ad-free. And speaking of Tennis Pod Plus members, here's one now. Dr. Buster, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Now, does it cost $150 a month for everyone, or is that just my rate I have to pay?
Well, we'll talk about it offline. But Buster, actually first, before that, I want to give a quick reminder to our listeners I'm trying something new. If you're listening right now, and you are, or else you wouldn't be hearing me say this, I want you to take a screenshot of your podcast app that you're listening to me in and post that screenshot to your Instagram story and tag us at TennisPod on Instagram. Buster, what's your worst bad habit?
Well, I was going to ask, what is the new thing that you're trying? Is it being interesting or funny or a good host? What are these new things you're trying?
I'm not even going to try because I'm set up for failure. I'm not set up to succeed in those goals. And a large part of it is, how can I be funny or entertaining or a good host when on the other end of this microphone is your fucking ass staring back at me? And the whole episode is me just pulling you up, dragging you to the finish line.
My bad habit is continuing to agree to come on the next episode of this show.
My bad habit's fucking agreeing to let you bully your way back onto the show. But outside of the podcast world, Doctor, what's your worst bad habit? What's something that comes to mind? Maybe it's not your worst.
We need each other. We can't quit one another.
No, I don't agree with that.
My worst bad habit, eating when I'm not hungry.
Ooh, fucking sign me up for that one. Co-signed.
I'm a consistent
That's a bad
snacker.
one for me too. Yeah, but at least your snacks are like, I don't know, fucking blueberries and shit.
Well, sometimes, but sometimes not so healthy. That's a pretty bad habit, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Especially them sweet sweets.
Not actually talking about sweets today. We're talking about whatever the opposite of sweet is, because it's the top 10 most common bad habits among Americans. In a series of recent polls, YouGov asked Americans to tell us about their so-called bad habits, defined as habits they believe negatively affect their lives and wish they could change. To identify the types of habits that people deem bad for themselves, they first conducted a poll asking people who identified as having bad habits to tell them in their own words what those habits are. The responses to that informed the design of a second, more exhaustive survey, which we're going to talk about now. So in that survey, conducted in the year 2022 with 2,000 Americans, they presented them with 30 randomly selected bad habits, and those Americans said, these are the bad habits I believe I have the most. Now, these are bad habits that Americans have ever had, even if they don't currently have that habit.
Okay.
YouGov.com, SWNSdigital.com, Healthline.com, MayoClinic.org, SutterHealth.org, Medium.com, Wikipedia.
This was a great episode, Nick. I really think you've done us all a favor with this one. This is good.
Buster, you are supposedly, allegedly, haven't seen any paperwork myself, but I'm told that you are a doctor of psychology. As a doctor of psychology, what do you make of bad habits? What does bad habits mean to you?
Boy, that's a loaded question. What do you mean?
In like a few sentences, what is a bad habit? Why are they so bad? Why do all humans suffer with habits, even when we know they're bad for us, or unhealthy, or whatever?
Sure. I guess we can start with the habit part first. So it's kind of the... I should have known that shit was coming. Oh, fuck me.
Go ahead.
Something you do that's habitual. It's something that you almost do automatically. You do it unconsciously, subconsciously. There are things that come easy to you because they become part of your routine. You don't need much elbow grease in order to get yourself into that activity. You find yourself doing that a lot. Now, what one person would consider a bad habit, like voting liberal, another person would consider a good habit. So the bad is really subjective, especially when you're talking culturally. Americans might think they do something that would be considered a bad habit, but then like Canadians or Mexicans or people who live in Spain or the Middle East might not think that that's a quote unquote bad habit. Now, why do we fall into bad habits? Well, I can reference the patron only episodes of the Bookbuster. In the very first episode, if I'm remembering correctly, dusting off the old long-term memory, was Dopamine Nation by Dr. Arnold Lemke. And one of the main thesi, whatever that is, boy, I'm smart. One of the main theses of that book is that bad habits are a way for us to shortcut boredom, discomfort, anxiety, and instead of just grappling with whatever the elephant in the room is in our mind and taking care of it, we reach for the pretzels. We watch the junk reality TV because it's easier than facing what's making us uncomfortable, and we reach for the Band-Aid instead, and then we do that enough that becomes like a security blanket for our mind and cue up bad habits.
I'm with you. I was with you the whole way until you mentioned the elephant in the room. Where's the elephant come in? The elephants aren't even native to America. We just covered this in the top 10 largest land animals episode.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you made an interesting point there, which is that what some people think of a bad habit might not be a bad habit to others. However, this survey was conducted in such a way where they first asked 2,000 people, what are your bad habits and why are they bad? And then based on those answers, they went from there. So I would say pretty universally, there might be one, but at least 9 out of 10 of these bad habits we could all agree are bad. Or you shouldn't do them if you can help.
Or at least if you do them, you maybe could limit how often or how intensely you do them.
Right. Some of this stuff is inevitable or hard to control, but you should strive to not do them.
Is tootin' so hard that I poop my pants on the list?
Oh, fuck. Jesus Christ.
Because that might be my top.
Are you done?
Well, I haven't done it yet.
Give it till the end of the episode. It'll happen. Well, I'll just turn you loose. Well, actually, I'll ask you first. What do you think is a good habit that's probably not on the list?
Reading books.
Nerd shit.
Spending quality time with the people you tell yourself that you love very much. I bet that's not on the list.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean? What? You have to add that weird qualifier to it. People that you tell yourself that you... What is that? Where are you coming from?
Well, so many of us, when we have like a 5 to 10 top 10 list of people that we love and that we wish we would spend more time with, and then each year we turn around and we ask ourselves, did I really spend as much time as I wanted to with those people? And a lot of us would say no, because we have a hard time prioritizing our actions.
I want to spend less time. Literally every person I know, I want to spend less time with that person. I want more time alone, and I'm only half kidding. Okay, anything else come to mind as like pretty safe bet not to be on the top 10?
Making the bed.
Making the bed. I don't think that's a habit people have, but many people have. But for those that do have it, it's a good one.
What percentage of Americans do you think make their bed each morning?
Let's limit this to American adults. So age 18 and over, 20%?
Okay.
What do you think?
I don't know. 1 in 5? I'd be surprised if it's that high. I'd say 1 in 8.
That's interesting.
Do you all?
Who the fuck's got time for that shit?
Yeah, I don't. Not unless company's coming over or my mother-in-law, am I right?
Yeah, well, I mean, we keep it orderly. Yeah, I know you do bring your mother-in-law into your bedroom often. You told me that.
Orderly what? As opposed to what? Flipping over the bed every
yeah, like morning? I'm not going to throw the blankets onto the ground, but I do like, but I also don't tuck in the sheets and all that stupid shit. So, and if you do that, you should probably just unsubscribe because you're a fucking nerd.
Unsubscribe. Get out of here.
All right, let's get to the real list. Some of these are very broad. Some of them are very specific. So just start wherever you want, and I'll guide you from there.
Smoking cigarettes.
Number 15.
Okay, so didn't crack the top 10.
15's outside of the top 10. Confirmed. And I want to quickly remind you that these are bad habits that people said they have ever had. So even if they kicked the habit or they don't do it anymore or they did it more when they were younger, it's still on the list.
Show me picking my nose.
Picking your nose. No, it's I don't have it here, but I did see it in the top 30, but it is not.
Now, is this picking someone else's nose?
Do you think, I mean, surely that, there's a fetish out there where people are picking other people's noses.
Absolutely. I kind of, every time I go into a public space, I kind of hope someone will reach over and do it to me. I've been waiting for a while. Hasn't happened yet.
And we don't judge those who do it.
Absolutely. All right. Show me leaving a light on.
No.
Eating junk food.
Eating junk food. All right. Let's start. Let's do that. Eating too much is the category I have. And where would you guess that is? Now, remember, last time you were on this show, you brought the list of the largest land animals, and I guessed like 8 out of 10 of those the exact spot. And so I expect you to do the same right now.
Folks, if you listen to the episode and that's the cadence of this podcast that you've grown accustomed to, you will be severely disappointed because if this is the first episode you're listening to, including me, you're about to find out just how terrible I am at actually guessing top 10 lists.
You could have just stopped at terrible I am, period.
Eating too much,
Come
I'm going to guess,
you're a learned
is coming
doctor.
in at
you can't stop telling everyone about your big fancy degrees from your big fancy schools. Let's see how smart you really are, doctor.
I didn't mention my degrees, not once.
Number 4 is wrong, asshole. It's number 6 is eating too much. And 47% of respondents said that they have this bad habit. This is higher for women. 52% of women said they had this habit compared to just 41% of men.
Now, is that a self-report discrepancy?
Yes,
like the
self-report.
Men actually eat too much, but they're like, no, I'm good. I don't eat too much, brother. I eat just enough.
I am confident that that is part of it. I think some women also, because of body images and like societal pressures and things like that, probably don't overeat and think they do, you know?
Sure, right.
And some of them do. So there's a big spectrum there. Hang on, that's wrong.
Wow, first time hosting a podcast or what? You know, in the last episode we did together, you know, the biggest land animals in North America? Yeah, I didn't fuck it up that bad. I'll tell you that.
Are you fucking serious? Go back and listen, sir. Go back and listen. And listen to the blooper reel that's coming out in a few weeks. Actually, it already came out for 10ish Pod Plus members. According to a separate 2021 survey, found that 3 out of the top 5 bad habits picked up during COVID quarantine had to do with snacking throughout the day, eating more comfort food, and eating more junk food. So a lot of people picked up this bad habit during the quarantine and have not been able to shake it since.
Is an occupational hazard of just either working from home or having to be at home more often? Is that as long as that pantry and that fridge is full, you're going to come a knocking? I
work from home as well, and I am often challenged with the pantry being within a few steps of where I work. It's a real problem.
It is a huge problem. Now, I guess we're just saying eating too much in general. So not just necessarily at one sitting, like I cram my gullet too full every meal, but just in general, holistically, when I turn around and look at the weeks, I eat too much.
Yep. And it's broad. So I think included in this is eating too much unhealthy food.
Well, it can make you broad if you keep going. Yeah.
Great joke. I really like that. All right. Eating too much. There is no more, I'm double checking, no more, I take it back. There's one more food adjacent bad habit on here.
Show me drinking too much alcohol.
Oh, you're very close. You're very close.
Drinking soda?
I'll count that. Drinking too much caffeine.
Oh.
Which Buster's self-reflecting right now as he...
I certainly am. This will be a lifelong battle of mine.
Drinking caffeine is what number, sir? And try to give a good guess this time to the number and not a fucking stupid idiot guess like you did the last time.
Let's go with the same one. Number 4.
Number 9.
God damn.
Number 9.
Are we even serious? You telling me it falls that
serious
low?
as a heart attack.
These people do not... I don't agree with these people already.
Well, when you see what number 1, like the top 3 or 4 is, you'll come around. And I think a lot of people drink too much caffeine but don't see it as a bad habit. I think this is one of the gray area ones.
That's a good point. A lot of people don't think they have a problem.
39% of respondents chose this. It's number 9. And according to the Mayo Clinic, up to 400 milligrams of caffeine a day appears to be safe for most healthy adults. How
Now,
much
why
is
is the-
400 milligrams of caffeine? Hang on. That's
hold
roughly
on.
the amount of caffeine. You're going to make a mayonnaise joke. Go ahead. Why is the mayonnaise clinic talking about coffee? Come on. Go ahead. Get it out.
God, you really are getting too good at this. I don't know how you knew that's almost verbatim the wording I was going to use too.
I know your fucking ass. That's why.
Whatever. Continue on with your useless
No, go ahead and
propaganda.
get it out.
Nope.
Okay, all right.
You already told me I was going to come around.
400
so
milligrams
I'm
is
doing
safe for healthy adults. That's roughly the amount of 4 cups of brewed coffee, or this doesn't sound right, but this is what it said. 10 cans of cola, or 2 energy shot drinks.
I mean, the 10 cans of cola, if you could isolate out the caffeine, but the problem with the cola is it comes with a whole Santa Claus bag full of other bullshit.
Yeah, you're right. We're not talking about sugar or anything. That's a good point. Just the caffeine. 4 cups of brewed coffee. You hit that a day on an average day boost?
No, less. I used to be up closer to 500 milligrams, but these days I'm closer to about 150.
So this is not a bad habit for you then.
No, I've really curbed it since the beginning of the year.
Okay, we don't need to hear any more of your life story. We got it. You curbed it. Just end it there. God damn. Now, why is drinking too much caffeine bad? Because if you drink more than 4 cups of caffeinated coffee in a day, or the equivalent, you could have side effects such as headaches, insomnia, nervousness, irritability, frequent urination, or inability to control urination, fast heartbeat, and muscle tremors.
Or every time I'm in the room with Nick. That's exactly. I experience all of those.
Fast heartbeat, yeah, I get that a lot.
Sure.
Stimulants such as caffeine aren't enough to override your body's profound need for sleep. So a lot of people will do caffeine or energy drinks, whatever, as a way to combat like sleepiness or trying to stay up later, whatever. These can actually make sleep deprivation worse by making it harder to fall asleep at night. This in turn may lead to a cycle of nighttime insomnia followed by daytime caffeine consumption to combat the tiredness caused by the lost hours of shut-eye. So it's kind of a vicious cycle.
That is the nasty, downturning, vicious cycle spiral I was in through the whole calendar year of 2023.
Well, to be fair, you were a new daddy, so I think you're excused.
But we can all make up a reasonable amount of excuses for any of our bad habits when we go looking hard enough.
Oh, fuck. So deep and profound. Hang on, I'm just reeling. Do you mind if I get that quote as a tattoo?
Only if you put it on your right ass cheek.
Okay. Deal. You know, I shared this on Instagram a few months ago, but it bears repeating that we have a real life friend who in, I don't know, maybe freshman year of college-esque age, 18, 19, got a tattoo of Buster's face on his right ass cheek.
And you post that photo to Instagram, you said?
I sure did, yeah.
Well, folks, you'll have to go take a peek at that. And marvel.
You're really missing out if you don't look at it. All right. So, and you can follow me, by the way, at the Nickamel. And if you haven't yet, share a screenshot on Instagram and tag us, letting us know you're listening to this episode right now. Buster, do you have another guess?
It was mentioned amongst the other life negative side effects from ingesting too much caffeine. Show me not getting enough sleep.
So if drinking too much caffeine is 9 and eating too much is 6, then where is not getting enough sleep?
3.
4. You should have gone with 4. You guessed 4 the first 2 times.
I was going to do 4 again. And I thought the listeners are just going to get annoyed if I just guess 4 the whole time. And then it really was 4.
No, they're already annoyed. So you just gave me a tattooable quote about excuses, and then here you go making excuses. All right. Sleeping too little or not getting enough sleep is number 4, with 52% of respondents saying that. I would argue it's probably not in reality. I think this is a real problem for many adults, especially here in God's country, USA. Sleep deprivation is caused by a consistent lack of sleep or reduced quality of sleep. And getting less than 7 hours of sleep on a regular basis can eventually lead to health consequences that affect your entire body. Your body needs sleep, just as it needs air and food to function at its best. And during sleep, your body heals itself and restores its chemical balance. Your brain forges new thought connections and helps memory retention. Without enough sleep, your brain and body systems won't function optimally, and it can drastically lower your quality of life.
Yeah, the majority of the first half of that description was about the body. I'm going to swap that and say I think the brain of the two, your own mind, is the one that's going to suffer the most with sleep deprivation. Take care of that mind, and that's what is the super controller of everything else.
How is your sleep these days? I know you were in the new daddy phase, but how about today?
Better. Good. Yeah, I over the last 2 years, I've done a considerable amount of small interventions to try to get better sleep, and I can say, thankfully, that it's much better than it used to be. How about you?
Congratulations. Before I answer that, I have to go back in the memory banks to talk about high school and college days when we would all hang out at Buster's house. He knows what I'm going to say. We would all hang. Buster's house was the party house. That's the house we all went to almost every night in high school and college. And Buster would stay up. We worked at the same place at a vet clinic. Buster would stay up till like 4 o'clock in the morning and have to wake up at 6 to go to the vet. And every time he'd be like, "Oh, I'm such an idiot. Why do I stay up this late?" But some bitch couldn't help it. He had too much FOMO. He had too much FOMO if he went to sleep sooner.
The ignorance of my youth. I'd get like 3 hours sleep. I'd go in for a 7-hour shift. It would be absolutely miserable all Saturday morning. I would tell myself at work, I will not be doing that again. And in 7 days' time, I would find myself once again.
Now, long-term effects of sleep deprivation include memory loss, mood changes, weakened immune system, risk for diabetes, high blood pressure, weight gain, yellow butt, accidents, trouble with thinking and concentration, low sex drive, increased risk of heart disease, poor balance, and other shit too. But like, it cannot be understated how important sleep is to humans and all animals.
Preach it, brother. When I used to teach intro psychology, I had a list of ailments that was probably 20 or 30 lines long. And I would ask the students, if you could take a pill to address all of these concerns, wouldn't you? Like, how much would you pay for this? And I would lead them to guess what is it that we're going to talk about that would treat all those ailments at the same time. And the answer was good sleep habits.
Booty clap. Oh.
Booty and
right. Good
getting a fair share of in-person 6 foot from the nose booty clapping.
Booty clap. Right. Okay, we're on the same page.
You got to feel the air brushing across your eyebrows. That's how connected you need to be
couple
to
things
booty
brushing
clap
across
to get
your
the full
eyebrows.
benefit.
Now, sleeping too little is related to I think these should have been combined, but they're separate on this list. What's something else very related to sleeping too little?
I don't know, like not relaxing enough?
That's not the worst guess. We're looking for staying up too late.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I mean, it's so close to sleep. I mean, because most people sleep too little because they stay up too late. I mean, I would say that's the number one cause of sleeping too little, probably.
Right. Right.
Well, so what number is it, though?
Oh, let's see. Do more people think they stay up too late or that they don't sleep enough? I'm going to say number 5.
You sure?
Yes.
I'm giving you a chance. You want to lock that guess in?
You're playing mind games with me, Regis Philbin. You son of a bitch.
Listener of the show. Number 5 is correct. Staying up late, with 49% of respondents say they suffer from this.
Now, I knew I was correct because if I had actually been wrong, you would have been like, oh, what a fucking idiot. It's his first time guessing this. But you didn't. So I knew.
Between that and the
right
voting liberal voice. Okay. Well, staying up too late. Sounds like you don't struggle with that these days.
I don't. No, I'm pretty good about getting in that bedtime routine somewhere between 9 and 9:45, laying down around 10 p.m.
What time are you asleep, though?
Hopefully by 10, but a lot of times 10:15.
Really? Okay. You're better than even I am. I'm usually
I already knew
in bed. Okay, wow. You're better than me in this one category out of millions of categories. And I'm in bed for sure well before 10, but I'm probably not asleep till at least 11 most nights. But I'm also not a fucking bitch, so.
Okay, you're not far behind. 11 o'clock's respectable.
Right, so for everyone's party needs, text Dr. Buster, you can stay up to the late hours of 9:30 on your Saturday night.
Oh, how the times they have changed.
All right, Buster, you just need, let's see, 10, 8, 7, 3, 2, you need 6 more.
Yes, sir.
And they ain't going to guess themselves, so go ahead.
Working too much.
Nope.
Checking email too late.
Yeah. Broaden out, generalize that a little more.
Being on their phone too much.
Screen time before bed.
Ah.
What number?
2.
You think it's that high, huh?
I mean, it's probably my own bias. In my work, I talk with my clients a lot about this, so sure, I'll stick with that same guess, even though I'm now guessing that's going to be wrong.
If you take 2 and you multiply it by 5, you'll get the correct answer, which is 10.
3. Oh.
I would say 3. I would say that this is underreported because I'll bet, I don't know, 9.5 out of 10 Americans do this, but they don't see it as a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't know truly how damaging it is to their sleep, so they do it anyway, and they don't see a problem in it.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I do this. Like, I'm looking at a screen last thing before bed. Not always my phone. I read my Kindle before bed, but...
I've just called the police, Nick. They'll be there shortly, so get ready.
Okay. When they show up, I'll just have my hands out ready for the cuffs because I know I've been caught. Screen time before bed. My Kindle before bed, officer. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he's going to say, son, with a knife stick. That's not necessary. He's going to put the handcuffs away. He's going to walk up to you and just give you a little slap on top of the hand and say, don't do that again, son. Have a good day.
We're going to make out.
Oh, yeah.
Baby. Screen time before bed is number 10. 38% of respondents say this, although a higher percentage of women, 45%. Well, you probably tell this to your many clients that you won't stop talking about, but device screens produce blue light, stimulation of which affects the part of the brain that suppresses production of melatonin, making it difficult for many people to, quote, turn off their brains and fall asleep. Studies show that 2 or more hours of screen time in the evening can seriously disrupt the melatonin surge needed to fall asleep. So you should consider turning off all electronic devices at least an hour before bed, if not longer.
Yes, sir.
And to that I say, maybe someday. Not now.
If you can just switch to listening to audio. Listen to audiobooks or podcasts before you fall asleep instead of a screen-based thing.
Maybe try to mind your own business and don't tell me how to live my life.
Like Tinish Pod. Hey, folks, you could make the Tinish Podcast part of your nightly bedtime routine. You could listen to an episode every night while you're getting ready for bed.
I have heard from some listeners that do that, and they get mad at me when we do a true crime episode because it gives them the creepies right before night-night.
I think they just get mad at you because the show's such a disappointment, and they are just frustrated at you.
Yeah, that's the true crime.
Hi, I'm Alex Johns, and if you're anything like me, you need more. More what? Well, more Tinish Podcast, of course. We all know Tinish Podcast has well over 250 episodes, but there is actually way more than that. There are about 70 extra episodes of Tinish Podcast available right now that can only be heard as a Tinish Pod Plus member. These extra episodes cover everything from the top 10 highest grossing movies starring a cat, to the top 10 ways your house can kill you, to the top 10 most adorable Pokemon. There's also episodes that step away from list guessing completely, like when Nick and I covered the history of human sewage and sanitation, or when Nick and Brandon reacted to trending Urban Dictionary definitions. You can unlock instant access to all these bonus episodes, with more added every month, right now by joining Tinish Pod Plus. It's easy. If you're listening to me on Apple Podcasts, just tap the Try Free button at the top of our page on Apple Podcasts. If you're listening on any other podcasting app, then go to tinishpod.com/plus. Signing up takes 10 seconds, and you can listen to these bonus episodes right on the very app you're already listening on. By the way, Tinish Pod Plus membership includes other perks too. All episodes are ad-free, you get episodes early before anyone else, and you can even get Dr. Buster's exclusive podcast, The Book Buster. Go to tinishpod.com/plus to learn more and sign up for a free 7-day trial. That's tinishpod.com/PLUS.
Number 10 is screen time before bed. 9 is drinking too much caffeine. You're missing 8 and 7. 6 is eating too much. 5 is staying up late. 4 is sleeping too little. And you need 3, 2, and 1.
Show me not exercising.
Okay, not exercising. You knew that had to be on here, so what number is it?
3.
Now, before I reveal, what do you think is number 1?
I really don't know.
Well, you're right, you don't know, because it's this. Not exercising enough is the number 1 self-reported bad habit.
Now, is it not exercising or not exercising enough? What's the exact phrasing?
Not exercising enough. Didn't realize I was in fucking English class, but okay. Not exercising enough, 65% of respondents. And this is much higher for women. at least in this survey, 71% of women versus 60% of men. I think, again, that could be societal body.
That's a perception issue. Yep.
And in fact, I looked because if you've noticed, every time I've talked about men versus women, it's always higher for women so far on this list. So I looked. The only categories where men had a higher percentage than women in self-reporting their bad habits. These are the only categories: picking nose, drinking too much alcohol, gambling,
Okay.
too much porn, and leaving the toilet seat up.
Well, okay. I think that one's a given.
Those are all like very man things. I mean, not all of them, I guess, but like gambling, porn.
In general, I think the typical American male is not doing as much self-reflection as women, and that leads them to have lower percentage rates of admitting that they have bad habits.
Yep. Preach. You know, you should think about getting into psychology.
Nope.
I think you know a thing or two about it. Nope. Why is not exercising enough a bad habit? It's because, well, the CDC reports that not getting enough exercise, not getting enough physical activity can lead to heart disease, even for people with no other risk factors. It can also increase the likelihood of developing other heart disease risk factors like obesity, high blood pressure, high blood cholesterol, type 2 diabetes.
Now, Nick, are you trusting information from the CDC after everything that's happened in the last 4 years? And ouchie Fauci, are you telling me you're going to believe CDC pandemic data? I mean, hey, it's the best we got. I mean, it was either that or going to the fucking GOP website for their reasoning for not exercising enough. I only get exercising advice from Newsmax. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you're smart. That's why they have max in the name, because you get that max cardio. Now, there's some other less obvious consequences of not exercising. Like the stuff I said, heart disease, we all know about that. Obesity, weight gain, of course. But there's other stuff too. If you don't get enough exercise, you can suffer from constipation, as Buster nods vigorously, because he understands constipation.
Oh, I've had my fair share of bouts with the old constipation machine.
Stiff joints, maybe falling asleep feet would be included in that. It's not a joint, but...
Did it say which joints get stiff?
Well, it says right under that, there's a sub-bullet, and it says, including your fucking cock and balls get stiff. I just didn't think I needed to read that part. But yeah, it is included there.
So you're telling me that's because I don't exercise enough. Got it.
Uh-huh. Not exercising enough can lead to moodiness, low energy, not sleeping well, forgetfulness, which I found interesting. I never really thought of that. Forgetfulness. High blood pressure, back pain. You could be sick more often, and your skin could lose its spark. It could become dull.
I think just like sleep, we cannot underestimate the amount of positive effects we could get from regular aerobic exercise.
And it didn't list it here on WebMD, I assume just because they ran out of room, but I'm sure they were going to include. It also, the elves that live inside your body, they really start to get cranky if you don't exercise enough.
Well, sure. Yeah, I think we experience all those negative side effects because the body elves themselves are all paying that individual price.
Exactly. They're collectively mutinizing in there. It's leading to joint pain. Well, then you got number 1 down. Let's see if you can get number 2 and 3.
Or 7 and 8.
Nah.
What about being late?
No, but you're on the right kind of highway there. You just took the wrong exit. I knew you'd like that.
Bad habit. Something like being too busy or overbooking their calendar, something like that?
No.
Watching too much...
Too much what?
Television?
No. You could be late for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons could be you're putting off doing things. You're...
Procrastinating.
Yes, procrastinating. And who doesn't procrastinate from time to time? You know?
Right. I think we
should
all
really
do.
Be 100% of respondents. Well, what number is it?
Maybe they're just procrastinating and admitting that they have a problem procrastinating.
Profound. But yes.
How about number 7?
I like 7. Wish I could give it to you. I love it. It's a great number. It's the Lord's number, but it's not. It's number 3.
God damn.
56% of respondents, although 61% of women compared to 50% of men. We've talked about the issues of self-reporting already. Procrastination is the act of unnecessarily and voluntarily delaying or postponing something despite knowing that there will be negative consequences for doing so. It is a common human experience involving delays in everyday chores or even putting off tasks such as attending an appointment, submitting a job report or academic assignment, or broaching a stressful issue with a partner. Yes, this came from Wikipedia, who has a whole 20,000 word article on procrastination. Because why? Don't know. Couldn't tell you.
in completely technical jargon and have described procrastination in ways that you never thought were possible, but are oddly specific and accurate.
It's a great way to put it. But I do have something a little deeper for you here, because there's some research on the physiological roots of procrastination. And the research has been concerned with the role of the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain that is responsible for executive brain functions such as impulse control, attention, and planning. A study of the behavioral patterns of pigeons through delayed gratification suggests that procrastination is not unique to humans and can also be observed in other animals. I love the idea of pigeons and other animals being like, fuck it, I'll do it tomorrow. You know?
I've really got to fly off this ledge and shit on that guy's briefcase, but I just don't. I really don't want to leave the stoop yet.
It says that there are experiments finding clear evidence for procrastination among pigeons, which shows that pigeons tend to choose a complex but delayed task rather than an easy but hurry up one. So they'll do the more complicated task even later instead of doing the easy task now.
And we do the same. We fill our days with pseudo-productivity because we don't want to tackle the cognitively labor-intensive tasks that may be either novel or challenging or scary to do.
And pigeons, one of the top 10 smartest animals, according to the episode I did back on 229 with Stephen Clark. They're extremely smart animals.
And even if they don't know it, they're going to risk it anyway, and they're going to put it off.
Now, this number 8 on this list goes hand in hand with procrastinating. It's a separate thing, but a lot of people would also say they have this as well.
Okay, it goes hand in hand with procrastination. Is it something they procrastinate? How is it related?
It's a state of low motivation and low energy. That could be one of several reasons why you might procrastinate something.
Okay, so we've already talked about being too tired because they stayed up late, not sleeping enough. Why might you be stressed? Yeah, it's not treating stress or anything like that. And you wouldn't say that like being depressed. I don't think many people would say not getting out of bed.
No, but a lot of people mistake this, or a lot of people mistake depression for this. Like clinical depression and this are sometimes, there's a crossover. I'll just tell you, it's quote, being lazy at number 8.
See, I think as a psychologist that laziness is it's a hollow term. It's kind of a hodgepodge of other psychological trends.
Not according to Proverbs chapter 13, verse 4.
But
I'll get to that in a minute. Laziness is number 8. 43% of respondents say they have this as a bad habit. It can have adverse effects on your physical and mental health. A sedentary lifestyle, often associated with laziness, can lead to weight gain, cardiovascular issues, and a bunch of other shit we've already talked about. And it can also contribute to mental health challenges like depression and anxiety. And I didn't put it all in here, but I saw some articles that are like, are you depressed or are you lazy? So I think it's like
But even to self-identify as being lazy is it's an ambiguous term that wreaks a lot of havoc once someone starts going down the avenue of saying that they're lazy, because a person who might self-identify as being lazy might be achieving more than anyone else on their block. And a lot of times with Americans, the ideal standard of activity we hold ourselves on a daily basis can be so frenzied and high that we qualify ourselves as being lazy when we might be an overachiever at baseline. And really what we're saying is that we're overly perfectionistic and we need to give ourselves a break.
That's right, because I think laziness, well, it's two-pronged, because you could be perceived as lazy from those around you. For example, man, Dr. Buster is so lazy. And those millennials, Dr. Buster and those millennials are so lazy. Or it can be, I'm a perfectionist and I see myself as being lazy when everyone externally perceives me as not being lazy. So it's this very fluid, ambiguous thing.
Yeah, anytime someone says like, oh, I've been lazy today or I've been lazy this week, sometimes I kind of hit them with a follow-up question to see exactly what they mean, because a lot of times lazy isn't necessarily the right word.
Well, I'll tell you what the Bible says about it. The Bible, Proverbs chapter 13, verse 4 says, and I quote, "The soul of the lazy man desires and has nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made rich. The lazy man desires what hardworking people want: house, food, vacations, money for college." This is not the Bible now. Money for college and retirement. But the lazy man's desires remain unsatisfied while the diligent gain wealth. It's in the Bible.
Now, Nick, I'd like you to answer directly to God for your devilry in bringing any other source today other than the Holy Bible. What do you have to say for yourself? Why do we need to hear from the mayonnaise clinic when we could have been citing the Bible?
What's the mayonnaise clinic telling me about caffeine for?
And why did you not consult the mustard clinic?
Yeah, I didn't think about the mustard clinic. Damn. All right, I got to write that down for next time. But you must try harder for your next guess because you just need 2 and 7.
I'm about to muster up some courage here and guess these two back-to-back perfect on the spot.
What do you think your dad would say he could never accomplish in his life, like no matter how hard he tried? And I don't mean to pick on your dad, but he's famously cheap and
okay.
frugal.
Savings, not saving enough money.
Not saving enough money is exactly right, and that is number 2 or 7.
I think you'd lead with the lower ones. Let's go 7.
2.
God!
You got one right so far. 61% of respondents, again, women self-report higher at 67% versus only 56% of men. Respondents were also asked, what is, of all the bad habits we've talked about, which one is the most problematic in their own opinion? And this one was chosen as number 1. So respondents said, not saving enough money is the most problematic bad habit out of all the ones on here. I want your take on that. Do you agree?
It's hard for me to say because someone who thinks they don't save enough money runs the gambit. Kind of like what we've also been saying. I mean, you've got people who run themselves into 6-figure credit card debt. Yeah, I might say you don't save enough money. You've also got people who are like saving up millions and millions of dollars and they're like, oh God, I just don't think we're saving enough. To know whether or not it's more detrimental, we would have to know to what degree are they not saving enough. I think as a general category, and maybe this is my own bias, I don't think this is the biggest red herring on the list. I don't think it's the biggest thing to worry about. What about you?
I think picking your nose is definitely higher. Now, Business Insider says that if you can barely pay your bills each month, or you aren't saving any money in a retirement plan, or you're spending more than 30% of your income on housing, you're probably not saving enough money.
Does that statement come from someone with a bit of financial privilege, if we're honest? So much of America with rising inflation and rising costs. What can so many people reasonably put together?
Yeah. No, I mean, well, I think that's the point is, well, part of the point is like you should strive for those things. And if you're not able to do it, then you either need to spend less or make more. But it is unique to each person. I mean, no doubt.
Yes. And easier said than done for those folks who are already behind.
Yeah. And super related to this is number 7. So if you're not saving enough, you might be
spending too much money.
Spending too much. Number 7.
Blowing it on them boats and hoes.
Boats and hoes. When you should be blowing it at tennishpod.com/plus for ad-free episodes and bonus content, and the Bookbuster once a month, but I digress. 46% of respondents say this, and U.S. News reports that these are the 5 most common reasons Americans overspend. You ready?
Sure.
Social pressure.
Okay.
Maybe you're trying to be tight with your money, and then you get invited out to a dinner or a brunch, and then there's stuff like making sure you have I mean, not everyone cares, but some people care a lot about having nice clothes, or they feel like they need to dress nicely for work. Social pressure.
Or even like having a manicured enough lawn. So you go the extra mile to buy all the right gear, to have the appropriate lawn to fit in with your neighbors, when really you don't give a shit. Am I talking from personal perspective? Maybe so.
Or you feel like you see a neighbor with a 10-gallon hat and you need the 11-gallon. You just keep buying bigger and bigger hats.
Gotta outpace those Joneses.
Have you heard the phrase lifestyle creep?
Yes.
It refers to a phenomenon, I had not really heard it. It refers to a phenomenon that occurs when your expenses unintentionally creep up as your income increases. You may, for example, shop and go out to eat more often after getting a raise. As a result, despite making more money, your discretionary income doesn't feel like it's increased. And this one stood out to me because I think I do pretty good with spending and saving. But I've definitely stopped, as I've gradually made more money, over the course of my career since college. And sometimes I look around and be like, I don't feel like I'm making more money, because your spending just kind of increases at the same time. So relatively, you're about the same.
When I talk with some companies about why do raises, pay bumps for employees have diminishing returns, and this is the exact phenomenon we spend a lot of time thinking about. The raise feels good at first, but when your monthly budget jumps by that amount, your lifestyle bumps by the same exact amount, unfortunately. In 3 months' time, it all feels the same, and you're sitting there feeling a little underappreciated, and you want a little bit more money.
We all need more.
Unfortunately, we are like financial goldfish that just swell to the size of our tank without even knowing it.
No, that's a great way to put it. It's another tattooable quote, but it's true. It's like in an ideal world, and I know everyone has different circumstances, but in an ideal world, the way you're supposed to do it is when you get a raise, you put a little bit of that into savings. Or you pay off a little bit of your debt. You don't just start spending more. Easier said than done, I know, especially with the next bullet on here, which is emotional impulse spending. So people buy out of impulse. And the quote from this U.S. News article said, many joke about retail therapy, but it's a very real thing. Some people shop as a way to feel better about themselves.
Yes. Or even just that shortcut for dopamine that I talked about near the top of the episode. That maybe I've had a long, stressful week and it's just kind of fun to go out and distract myself and buy new things because they're novel, they're flashy. I feel great when I get to wear them, or some new gadget for the kitchen. And unfortunately, that takes money to spend, and maybe not all the time it's money that I have.
And the next one goes back to your voting liberal. When you don't account for inflation, thanks, Joe Biden.
I did that.
I kid. I did that. I cannot tell you how many gas stations I went to in Oklahoma where there was a sticker of Joe Biden pointing to the price at the gas pump saying, I did that. All right, the last one is credit misconceptions. And they say, quote, the availability of credit can lead some people to perceive it as extra money, leading to overspending. There you go. That's why you're spending too much. Those 5 reasons and those 5 reasons alone. All right, we're going to go back through the top 10. I'm going to actually start at number 20, see some of the ones you did not get. So these are the 20 worst bad habits according to Americans. Number 20 is nail biting. Number 19 is snoring. And the thing about snoring is you don't even know you're doing it. So that's just people sick of the person they're sleeping with elbowing them in the middle of the night. And I've gotten that elbow myself and saying, hey, shut the fuck up. You're snoring too much.
Hey, that was me telling you to wake up. We got to record again.
Right. Sorry. Too much phone time is 18.
Yeah, hold on. Let's just go back to that. That admitting that I have a bad habit of snoring, I still think that belongs on the list. It doesn't go next to not saving enough or that I eat too much.
Right. And also, you don't care that the only reason you would care that you snore is because someone tells you snore too much. Like, you don't know you're snoring. It does not affect you.
It'd be like if someone said, my bad habit is being too attractive. It's like, well, why do you think that? Oh, well, because everyone around me has a problem with it.
Or, I smell too bad. Too much phone time, which I think we're all guilty of. Probably doesn't need to be number 1, but we're all guilty of it, I think. Too much social media is 17. Number 16, I fucking disagree with so much. It's swearing. Like, sure, you can say I don't like swearing or people swear too much, blah, blah, blah. My fucking parents would say that. But honestly, who gives a fuck? It is not a problem that affects anyone in any real way. Number 15, we already said, which is smoking or vaping. 14 is working too much. I know the millennials didn't choose that one, am I right? And then 13 is being messy. 12 is a good one, which I struggle with, which is slouching your shoulders too much. And 11 is one you guessed, and I forgot to tell you that it's 11, and that's watching too much TV.
Okay.
Number 10 is too much screen time before bed. Guilty of that. Number 9 is drinking caffeine, too much caffeine. Number 8 is being lazy. Number 7 is spending too much money. Number 6 is eating too much. Number 5 is staying up too late. Number 4 is sleeping too little. Number 3 is procrastinating. Who hasn't procrastinated? Who among us? And number 2, not saving enough money. And number 1, with 65% of respondents picking this, is not exercising enough.
All right, of these top 10, which are you the biggest offender of? Which of these 10 do you struggle the most with?
Let me look back through them. So,
wow, we don't have all goddamn day, am I right?
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
I would say screen time before bed, or I guess I'll pick that one. I mean, there's others that I'm like a, marginal offender of, but I'll choose that one. What about you?
I'm going to say eat too much.
Yeah, I almost chose that, but then I thought, like, people might get annoyed at us for saying that just because we are two people that, like, aren't obese and, like, people have eating disorders and shit.
Let me tell you, I am only able to have the body habits I have because I burn things like a choo-choo train because I am very consistent on the exercising, and part of that motivation to stay on the gas 24/7 with exercising is knowing my eating habits.
You hear that, guys? Buster's fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's just in the gym all the time.
I'm on the gas, Putin.
As a quick bonus before we end, I had so the top 10 we did was the top 10 bad habits that you've ever had. Now, they also did in the survey the top 10 bad habits that you have right now, the current bad habits. And I'm not going to make you guess. I'm just going to go through them. So I'm going to start with number 5, burping. That's the answer. And to that, I'm like, what does that mean? Because, I mean, burping is you can't stop burping. You know what I mean?
Well, you can certainly make it louder, and you can hold the burp in and make it go quiet.
Yeah, but if you did that with every burp forever, then that's probably not healthy, right?
Sure. I guess maybe they should qualify burping in public. Like, I can admit that I was in a coffee shop about 2 or 3 months back.
You found a coffee ship on the high seas? They let you on the ship to drink some coffee?
And I was listening to music and answering email, and I just belched without thinking that I was in public. And then I realized I was in public, and I was like, "Ooh, sorry." I don't know if anybody heard me, but
was it one of your loud ones that is like a scream?
No, it was it was not very loud, but it was still enough that people would have been like, "Ew, what the fuck?"
Yeah. I think that might be a self-perception issue you have and lack of self-awareness that people are doing that to you way more than you think. So that's 5 is burping. Number 4 on current bad habits is not exercising enough, which was number 1 on the all-time list. Number 3, spending too much on phone. Number 2, slouching. So slouching was like number 13 or 14, I think, on the all-time list. And it's number 2 here. And number 1, sign of the times, screen time before bed.
I'm surprised that slouching is up at number 2 for currently active bad habits.
Well, the data doesn't lie, bub.
I'm not saying that you don't need to not slouch, but I think so many of these other things on the list, people should be far more aware of and be working on more so than their standing posture.
Well, posture hugely affects your health long term, but not as much as, not exercising enough or eating too much or some of these other things. So yes, let's just all agree that we can all work on these things. We all got work to do, and we all suck.
Yep. Treat our stiff ligaments.
Ponder away, listener, and I'll see you next week for episode number 263. Thank you for listening.
Bye.